I'm here to talk about what we are going to do, especially for the kids who are in the back row. They have been made to sit there by us, but we used to sit there by our own choice when we were in school. So we were by choice backbenchers, but they have been made to sit there. But we have a lot more for them. I won't be talking much about the technical aspects because Professor Huddle had already given us the background for doing things in the Venus transit and the eclipse. So I'll be touching upon the areas which are more of an interest to a student or to a kid in everybody. I mean, I hope Fred, Jay, and they all inside their heart they are not more than 13 years of age. So we have some of the experiments designed for those kinds of kids. So I'll just brief you about what how space came into being. Not space as an organization as the whole group, but space as the NGO. So that was way back in 1995. If you could look at this picture was taken on the equinox eclipse of the 2007. That was the partial eclipse, and that's a foggy Delhi morning in front of the India Gate. Me and Sachin took this picture, and this picture actually represents what people think about the solar eclipses since long time, that eclipses are bad. And in this picture also you can see people are actually running away from the sun, isn't it? So by looking at this picture, space.com actually carried a story on it, that it actually depicts the fear in the people's mind. But to tell you the truth, that was the early morning hour and these people didn't know anything about the eclipse. So they were just doing jogging over there on that road. But this image actually embodies that deep thought which is there inside each and every one. If you don't know about science, that something bad is happening to the sun. And when I saw my first eclipse, that was February 1980. I was a 16-year-old kid, and I ran away from my home to see the totality near Odisha. My parents didn't know at that time, but they know now. So I don't want you to see the eclipse like this. And in Delhi, the same place, India Gate, was deserted. It was like a curfew all over Delhi, and Government of India actually ran a special movie to keep everybody inside the house so that they don't come out and see the eclipse. So that was the state of affairs if you go back into the early 80s. I met Sachin in 1994. That was also by the common love for astronomy. Comet Shoemaker-Levy had actually impacted on the Jupiter, and Sachin was in college at that time. He came to the planetarium, and from there we started our astronomy association. In 95, we had our first eclipse in Bhind, that was near Neem Ka Thana. And that eclipse, you won't believe it, we took so many kids over there. Less than 500 rupees, the whole trip was there. So you can imagine school students who went along with us at that time, they are now, some of the names are actually right now doing research in the astrophysics and astronomy. So I want the kids out there who are sitting in the back row, so I want them to be, I mean, when we meet, let's say after 10 or 20 years, so I want them to be speaking here and telling their experience and do well in astronomy, not in astrology, because whenever we say we are astronomer, people actually extend their hand to us and ask their future. So that's the state of affairs we have in India, that astronomy and astrology for them is same. Now in space, what we are doing is we are basically learning science by experience. We don't do the classroom teaching. We don't have the blackboard and tell them that the earth is round and everybody would believe that the earth is round. I hope everybody knows that the earth is round. Any proof that the earth is round, can we give it from our day-to-day life? Is there any proof? No proof. Our teacher tells us the earth is round and then we believe that. So here you see those kids out there with a small instrument which we call the magic wand, the gnomon. They measure the shadow made by that gnomon and measure the motion of the sun, and then they get to the direction of the, they get to know about the direction, they get to know about the time. And then we have, we take them out of the city to do the night observation, because in Delhi you can actually count the number of stars on your fingers. There's so much of light pollution there. So we take them outside the city, show them the real stars, and then we have science fairs in which we show them the basic facts of science by actually doing the same thing. And this is the magic wand which you say the gnomon over there. That's a very small instrument with which we are actually doing so many things with the kids, apart from controlling the crowd of the kids by this small gnomon, actually using it as a stick. So that we use very rarely, but still. And here you can see a small sundial made by a student over there, and sometimes we use our educators to stand like a gnomon and measure the shadow, and we ask them to stand for quite a long time and measure the shadow over there. And I hope Esplanade, Jay and all, when we visited the Jantar Mantar, it was all very foggy out there, but when it is sunny out there, the most of the kids we take there, they do the experiments there, they learn about the motion of the sun. And as we know that the Jantar Mantar is the very big Masonic observatory we have in Delhi, so that's a benefit for us, because with these observatories we tell them how to measure the motion of the sun, the motion of the planets over there. Now we use sun, and there is a term which we call the daytime astronomy, because whenever we say astronomy, it always comes to our mind that astronomy means night. And most of the parents who are with us, whose kids are there with us, they think that whenever we say astronomy, the kid has to be out in the nights, and then they say no to the astronomy. But we do daytime astronomy quite a lot, and under the HelioDC program, we have taken kids to Turkey, Siberia, China, to see the eclipse and to photograph and to do the studies of the eclipse. And this particular eclipse we shot there in Siberia in 2008. And with that we did one experiment with the kids, that by seeing this prominence on the sun, they actually were able to measure the scale of the object over there in comparison to the earth. And you can, on the right hand side, you can see that small dot over there representing the earth. So by measuring the diameter pixel by pixel, they actually measured the size of the prominence over there, and then they compared it to the earth. And that's the first flight courtesy Dr. Glenn Schneider. Those are the lucky passengers who went to that 41,000 feet above the ground and saw that eclipse. And this picture is very interesting. I showed you that in picture in which there are very few people on the road. But now if you see this picture, this is not a picture of any celebrity coming to a gathering on some political meeting. This is actually a place in 2009 in Patna, where so many people have gathered just to see the eclipse. So that's the change we have brought up in the people's mind, that instead of being inside the house, they have to go out and see this wonderful phenomena which we call the solar eclipse. And that's the one of the few shots which were available from the northern limit of the 2010 January eclipse. Those are the Baily's beads we shot on the video, and this is one of the frame from there. Now we did a very interesting experiment what we call the project Khoj. Khoj in Hindi means to discover, and this was to find the Greenwich of India. So we all know that India has one time zone, and that time zone is at 82.5 degrees longitude, and that is in our textbook written that it goes through an observatory in Allahabad. But when we search on those things, we found out there is no observatory in Allahabad, and Allahabad is not at exactly at the 82.5 degrees. So we took these kids, used the GPS and found the exact place where the Indian Standard Time line is there, and then we symbolically placed this wristwatch over there. I don't know whether this watch is still there or not, but this is at the 82.5 degree longitude, and under this project we actually plan to go to each and every longitude and latitude crossing in India. There are 262 crossings in India, and we have been to around 15 crossings, confluences, and interestingly one of the confluences is inside someone's house. So when we went there and we had GPS in our hand and we were asking the way, and they were asking me, where are we going? We didn't know where are we going. So we had no address. So they were quite amused that we are searching for some house, but we don't know which house is it and which address is it. So very interesting things were there. We are still continuing with this project of making a timeline across India, because this is just one point, 82.5 degrees in longitude and around 23 degrees in latitude. So we plan to make those points on the latitude so we can actually make a line of the IST timeline on the Indian map, and then the NCERT, the organization which is responsible for putting these facts in the books for the students, they actually changed the place to Mirzapur instead of the Allahabad after we did this program. And then we are running a program called Project Dark Skies, in which we are quantifying the light levels across India, because in the big cities we don't have the stars to be seen. And when we did this project with the Great Worldwide Star Count and the Globe at Night, we were actually supplying the data. Almost 50% of the data was coming from India, and for that contribution they have actually asked us to present a paper in the IAU assembly in Beijing in 2012. And the biggest thing we did was getting students to do some real science by discovering asteroids. We ran a program with ISAC, the International Astronomical Search Collaboration, at the Harding-Simmons University. Under that program, in 2 years we have done these discoveries. Around 11 main belt asteroids have been discovered by students here, and you can just see the numbers. And this program is, it's a regular feature of the space, because that gives the exposure to the students directly to the real science. It's not that they are getting a data which is already being used by someone else. So they are getting the real data in real time. And when we talk about the real time thing, so we are running a program, a pilot project, which what we call the Live Internet Telescope project, in which there's an observatory in Arizona under the Global's Hands-on Universe program. We are getting the telescope controlled by these kids, 6 standard or 7 standard kids, who are actually controlling the telescope in the real time and getting the pictures out there, and all these pictures have been taken by those kids. Now, these are some of the programs we did this year. So it's like almost every day we are doing one astronomy program for the kids, so that we contribute something to the science. Now these are our nodal centers and the regional centers spreading all across India, which are giving us a strength to do any data collection program in masses. So now I come back to the transit of Venus. Last time when we did that program, it was total in India, we could see the ingress and the outgress, but in 2012 we won't be able to see the Venus going into the sun, so that's a pity for us. But still, we have made programs so that we can, along the length and the breadth of India, we are actually asking students to see the last two contacts and give us the data so that we can get the 1 AU from there. So that's the Vamana project we did. Sachin told you about Vamana. Was in mythology, there's one of the incarnations of Lord Vishnu who actually measured the universe in 3 steps. So we are also measuring the basic astronomical unit, the basic unit in 3 steps. First is finding your own location on the Earth. Second is observing and studying the elongation of the Venus for 3 months, and then finally observation of the Venus transit on that day. So under the measuring your own location on the Earth, we are redefining the Eratosthenes program, in which we are asking students to observe the local node at one particular day along these lines, if you see. So these are the lines on the same longitude we have, and then we have been running this program successfully for the last 9 years. But now what we have done, we have extended to the SAARC countries, and on the equinox day in September, we started this program. And one of the line, if you see the Delhi, Bangalore, and if you go towards the upper side, we extended the line till the capital of Kazakhstan, Almaty, and we took the reading at the same UT, and along 35 degrees of latitude we got to know about the circumference of the Earth. So this is the program which we intend to do throughout the year and find the location of yourself on the Earth, because there's no way, I mean, we can use the GPS and immediately we can get the position of our own location. But by showing the kids that just with the simple gnomon and the sun, we can get to know about our own location, that would be the first step. And that's the pictures from the 2004, when we did that with around 250 schools all across India. And this time we intend to do this with around 25,000 students to make this data collection more relevant. And that's the elongation of the Venus measurement they did. That's from Chennai. They used to measure the position of the Venus every day for around 3 months. And then finally the transit of Venus. Now when I say the transit of Venus, it's very simple to say that a VT is occurring, but nobody knows about it unless you tell them. It's not like the solar eclipse that one could see actually the solar eclipse with the naked eye. But if you don't know the transit is happening, you won't be able to see it at all. That's why we have no history of it. If we go beyond 1600, we have no history of the Venus transit. So if you don't tell people, and if you don't tell them the way how to see it, nobody will be able to see it, because as Fred was saying, that the image is so small, with the naked eye it's very hard to see the Venus over there. If you can see the sun over there, and if I have the Venus on the sun, with the naked eye it would be very difficult to see. That's why we are not able to see these transits. Now to see the transit, we have to devise various methods. So we have made 2 or 3 very low cost things. The telescope which you see at the top, that's the refractor we made replicating the Galileo's telescope. And at the end of it, we had put another small pipe over there, and at the end of the pipe we have the butter paper, which shows you the image of the sun over there. That's around 30 mm of size, and here one can actually see the big sunspot over there, which was almost of the same size as that of the Venus. So this is one of the devices with which we can see the Venus transit clearly. And then we made this is do-it-yourself kit kind of a thing. We had a webcam. We stripped the webcam all of its lenses and all, used the chip at the back, and then a small 20 mm, 100 mm focal length normal lens, we put it in the front, and what we got was the image here, which is showing me the sun, and that has got no optics, I mean no let us say a very costly optic. It's just a lens which is available in the market. And the third thing which we made, it's a very interesting thing which we call the ball projector. It has a spherical holder on which I have placed a mirror over there, and then there's a very large focal length we have used. This lens is around 10 meters of focal length, and if I project the sunlight through a small aperture over there, and you can see the sun right inside the room, sitting cozily inside the room, and show it to a more number of people. It's not that on the telescope one by one you are able to see it. And when I put a large focal length lens in front of it, then the clarity of the image goes up. And we had a workshop in Bangalore in IAA. Dipankar was there. He was one of the hosts over there. So we had a demo of the thing over there. If you can see, without the aperture and the lens, it's so fuzzy out there, but when I use the lens and the aperture, the image is crisp and clear over there, and that's the way we want to show it to the masses, the Venus transit, because with the naked eye, even with the solar filter, you won't be able to see the transit or the Venus exactly on the sun very clearly, but these small instruments which we intend to make and distribute into the public, that will make the Venus transit more accessible to the masses and the kids. And here there's a 1 rupee coin over there, and we have a 2-meter focal length lens which is projecting the image over there, and one can actually see the sunspot over there without any magnification. So these are the things which we plan to do in the 2012 Venus transit, and I hope people will come forward and participate in the Venus transit with us. Thank you.